Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So obviously you cannot see my face. I am recording this podcast style. I've tried to record this video a couple of times and something keeps going wrong each time I try to record it, which is very typical for me. This is something that happens to me all the time. My narcissistic mother's video, it took me literally 6 months to film that video. I started it 6 months before I actually posted it because I kept having a lot of interference and things happening to my camera, or whenever I would try to sit down and film, the lights would flicker on and off, or I would get extremely tired and like dizzy and have to take a nap. So again, that's something I'm very much used to. I'm thinking it's some type of like, you know, spiritual warfare or whatever. I don't really look too much into that because it doesn't scare me. It's just an indicator that I'm doing something right, or that I'm about to share a message that a lot of people need. And so naturally, when a lot of people need a message that is spiritually uplifting, there's going to be some type of interference in that. So nothing to worry about, but I do have access to my phone and to my mic, so I'm going to record this, like I said, podcast style. Hopefully you will be seeing my face in my next video, because I haven't been on the channel in I don't know how long, and it's like the first video is a voiceover. But anyway, getting into it, the black sheep of the family and spiritual warfare. A lot of people requested this after my narcissistic abuse video or my narcissistic parents video. A lot of people wanted to know the spiritual side of being the black sheep and the spiritual side of narcissism and things of that sort. So I guess I'll start with the fact that a lot of the black sheep, and this is just off the top of my head, like this is something that I'm kind of like channeling from my higher self. I have no notes in front of me or anything, so just bear with me. So I'm going to start out by saying that the black sheep of the family, if you watch my black sheep video, you'll know this, are usually the people in the family that are very spiritual, are very creative, and are just very different from the family. And black sheep is known to be a negative term, a negative connotation, because in a flock, if there is a black sheep, the shepherd cannot dye that wool. The black wool can't be dyed, so therefore it can't be sold for a large amount like white sheep can be sold. So that's why the black sheep is looked at as having less value. But there are certain flocks, or there's certain shepherds or groups of shepherds that actually see a black sheep as a positive omen. And that's how I like to look at it, that the black sheep is, yes, very different and usually is abused or just not treated right by the rest of the family. But I do believe that we have a special place on this earth, and I do believe that our mission here is a spiritual mission, and that we're born into these families in order to break these generational curses and these bloodlines, like the generational curses of abuse that go on and on throughout our family bloodlines, I mean. And like I said, the black sheep is usually the most spiritual and the most creative, because we have come here to overcome this and to break that curse. Now, a lot of black sheeps are born into families that are narcissistic. So they have narcissistic parents, narcissistic siblings, narcissistic grandmothers, aunts. So that in itself, narcissism and codependency in itself is a generational curse. So being born into a bloodline with that curse, it makes sense that you would be the black sheep, because you're the one that would undergo, you know, the most torment. I know that sounds horrible. You would undergo the most torment, and the person who is in pain the most has basically the motivation to change. Like if you have a destructive habit that's not hurting you and it's hurting other people, you're less likely to change. If other people have a destructive habit that's hurting you, and you have a destructive pattern that's hurting you, then you're more likely to change. So the black sheep is more likely to change, because narcissists or just abusive family members in general, they're not going to change because their abuse is serving them. It's not hurting them, it's serving them. It's hurting them on a spiritual level, because karma and what we do to other people, we do to ourselves. But on a physical level, no, it's not hurting them. So what would give them the reason to change? If you watch any videos of people who are actually narcissists who are healing, you ask them how did they start their healing journey, and they will all admit to you that they started because they hit rock bottom. So if they don't hit rock bottom, they would never have changed. And that's what I mean. So you're born into the family being the black sheep because you're the one that is going to endure the type of pain, and it's going to basically catapult your spiritual journey in order for you to be motivated to heal and to break this generational curse. Now, let's talk about the spiritual warfare behind it, though, because I do believe I see this from two perspectives. Okay, there is the perspective of we come here on this earth. We are incarnated here on this earth. We reincarnate here. I mean, if this is against your spiritual beliefs, that's fine. Just take whatever messages resonates and apply it. I do believe that we reincarnate here in order to clear these timelines, to break these generational curses. And I really do believe that in the long run, me being born into a narcissistic family, that actually has helped me be the person that I am. And this channel will not exist without narcissists, without narcissistic family, without narcissistic ex-boyfriends. So I see that side of it as me choosing to reincarnate here into a narcissistic family in order to, like I said, overcome this. But I do see the other side of it, because I do believe that sometimes we come here with spiritual gifts and we come here with a purpose, and that there are entities that are trying to destroy us. And I'm not talking about, oh, we chose to come in contact with this person in order for us to grow. I'm talking about like entities that come here and infringe on our free will and infringe on our spiritual path and try to keep us blocked. So I do believe that some of the people that I have come across may not have been in my plans to come across them, or it may not have been something that I necessarily chose before reincarnation, but they kind of imposed their free will on me. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of those incidents came very close to me committing suicide. And that's why I say that. So it's kind of tricky when it comes to spirituality, because it's kind of like a blurry line between, okay, did I come here to experience this so I can overcome this? Or is this like being infringed upon me because other people have free will and they have the free will to choose to do wicked shit? And not just them choosing, but them having entities attached to them that cause them to act this way. Everything is spiritual. Everything that's going on behind the scenes is spiritual. Just like Wayne Dyer has a book that says, I mean, the title is, I believe, for every problem, there's a spiritual solution. So everything that you see is spiritual. Just like people are always like, oh, it's not that deep. Everything is that deep. Everything is that deep. Everything that you can go through is that deep. There's a spiritual side to it. Now, getting back into it. Sorry if this is a little bit rambly. Like I said, this is not planned. So what a lot of people want to know is about spiritual warfare specifically. So I'm going to talk about that aspect of it. So we're going to leave out the whole, you reincarnated into this family in order to overcome. We're going to leave out that part. We're going to go into like the entities, the narcissistic entities that you may come across that are trying to knock you off of your path, because you may be a light worker, you may have a high spiritual calling, and you may have a special purpose and destiny on this earth. And like I said, you may come across people who have the narcissistic spirit within them. And I believe in the Bible, it's called the Jezebel spirit. Jezebel, I believe it's called the Jezebel spirit. And from what I have studied and what I have seen from experience, the Jezebel spirit is extremely advanced, a very advanced demon. I know there are parts of the Bible, and again, I'm not really a Christian. I don't really study the Bible, but I do take, gems from the Bible and apply it to the things that I channel directly from source myself. So I believe in the Bible, they do talk about how there are different levels of demonic entities, like some are worse than others. And the Jezebel spirit is one of the high-ranking demonic entities, meaning extremely spiritually advanced. That's the thing that people don't understand about spirituality. Demons are spiritual as well. It's not, oh, I'm spiritual, so therefore I'm a light worker and I'm a light being, and I'm, I came here to, teach and spread my knowledge in a positive way. No, some people are literally operating under the Jezebel spirit and are posing as light workers. So a lot of people who are posing as like spiritual gurus and they have a large following, they are under the Jezebel spirit. And that's why I'm always very wary of the tarot readers that I watch, of the spiritual people that I follow, quote unquote, the spiritual gurus, because you just never know. You really just never know. Well, I know, because I can actually spot the Jezebel spirit now very clearly, but a lot of other people cannot, and they're just kind of blindly following. But anyway, back on point, the Jezebel spirit is operating within the narcissist. If you have narcissistic parents or you've dated a narcissist, you will know that they are very skilled at being extremely manipulative, gaslighting you, and making you feel like you are crazy. And if you dealt with more than one narcissist, you know that it seems like they all read from the same handbook. It's like they all act the same way. And that's not because, oh, it's something psychological. It's spiritual. It's like they all are reading from the same handbook, I believe. And this is not a video to scare anyone. So I hope this is not making anyone afraid. If you're living with a narcissist, there's nothing to be afraid of, because the Jezebel spirit is, even though it's a powerful spirit, you are light. You are a light being. You are a direct creation of source. God is inside of you. The divine is inside of you. So no demonic entity can overcome you. You are stronger than any demonic entity that you come across. So like I was saying, in terms of narcissists being under Jezebel spirit, I really truly believe that they are able to sniff out people who have a higher calling here. And I believe they're able to do this from birth, because again, it's a spiritual thing. So if you came here and you have spiritual gifts, or you are this person that is extremely empathic, you feel other people's struggles, you feel other people's pain, and you want to alleviate that pain, I do believe that that can be sniffed out on you from a very young age by your narcissistic parent. I really do. And again, this isn't to scare anyone, and I'm going to give the other perspective of it later, but right now we're talking about this one. So I do believe that that can be sniffed out by your narcissistic parent. If you go on my narcissistic parents video, I talk about how even when I was a kid, I was being mistreated by a narcissist. And if you go in the comment section, you'll see a bunch of people talking about, you know, my narcissist did this, or my narcissistic parent did that. Like, you can read all the stories and they all sound similar, and it just all sounds like all this started at a very, very young age. Now, again, a lot of people can throw the psychology of it on this, like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't that you were born with spiritual gifts. Maybe it's just that you're an empath, or that you're codependent because of the narcissist, or because, you know, you have to operate in a narcissistic household. You have to become very vigilant of the narcissist's mood swings. So therefore you become very aware of other people's emotions, and that's how you become an empath. I do believe that to be true as well. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't truly believe that there are people who are born, like I said, gifted, like born gifted and born with a specific purpose. And if spiritual warfare is real, which it is, then it makes sense that there will be entities that are trying to stop that purpose. So if you know you have a purpose, and even if it's not a narcissist trying to stop you, if it's anyone trying to stop you, just know that that is spiritual warfare. That's demonic interference. And demonic doesn't have to mean like a demon, like a demon in like how you see in books. It could just be a negative energy, honestly. Okay, I feel like I'm rambling here. Let me get back on track. Okay, so again, if you pay attention to narcissists, they all have a tendency to do the same thing. They will idealize you. They will love bomb you. They will really lay it on thick. And I'm not really talking about narcissistic parents, because they don't have to idealize you and things like that. You're already idealizing them because they're your parents. You already have an emotional connection to them. So they don't have to idealize you necessarily, but narcissistic spouses, they will definitely idealize you to the point where you feel like you're on top of the world. They put you like up on this pedestal because they see that you are not whole within. And that's another aspect of narcissism and spiritual warfare, is that when we are not whole within ourselves, when we have been broken down so badly, the Jezebel spirit within a narcissist can sniff that in us, and they will attack that specific wound. And that's why the Jezebel spirit is so powerful, and that's why it is so smart and cunning, because it can see our deepest fears, like our fear of being abandoned, our fear of not being good enough, our fear of not being worthy. Like the narcissist that I was dating, that I started my channel about, this man would call me God. He would refer to me as God. And you have to understand how sick that is, because the Jezebel spirit that's operating inside of him could see how broken I was and how I was never given any type of validation from my parents ever. So him seeing that in me spiritually, like he was able to look into my soul and see that soul wound, and he attacked that specific wound by putting me up on the highest pedestal you could put someone else on, by calling me God, by referring to me as God. And then immediately afterwards, like maybe like a couple weeks afterwards, like completely flipping the switch and discarding me and making that wound 1,000,000 times worse. So that's why I said they are so smart and cunning. And it's even more sickening with the parents, because it's like the parents that have Jezebel spirits, that are operating under the Jezebel spirit, they don't even have to idealize you, or they don't even have to love bomb you. You're already emotionally attached to them from birth. So all they have to do is, at that point, systematically and slowly tear you down and break you down. If you pay attention, if you have narcissistic parents, you are aware of this. It's like a very slow, strategic process. They're always trying to put down your talents. They're always trying to put down what you're passionate about. If you ever want to try anything new, they discourage you from trying anything new. It's like they are systematically breaking your spirit and breaking your soul. And when your soul is broken, and when you are experiencing soul murder, which is an actual term, you can go and look it up. When you are experiencing soul murder, you lose all of your zest, I guess you could say, for life. You don't care about life anymore. And if that life force is sucked out of you, then of course you cannot go on to fulfill your purpose, because you don't even see the value of life. People who have experienced soul murder, it's like you can always spot them. They're usually people who are just, they seem like they're walking around aimlessly, like they don't really have a direction. They don't really care to have a direction. Everything seems empty no matter what they do, no matter what they try. They don't have any real passions or any real goals in life. Everything just seems pointless, empty, and dark. And that is a result of soul murder. Soul murder doesn't have to necessarily take place through narcissistic abuse. It can take place through any type of spiritual warfare. But the point is that these things attack your soul. So now, the black sheep. Again, sorry if this is rambling. I'm just trying to get all of this out. The black sheep of the family. The black sheep, again, I truly believe is here to do a specific purpose and has a specific destiny in store for us when we first get here. And we can take the narcissistic abuse that we have overcome if we were able to survive it, because a lot of people do not survive narcissistic abuse. And that's why I say I'm not so sure about the whole, well, we, reincarnated here to experience this. I'm not so sure about that, because yes, we can take it and level up and use it to our advantage in order to become better people and to clear our past karma and to heal these wounds. But some people don't make it through. Like, some people don't make it out alive. That's why I'm very weary of saying, like, you chose your narcissistic parents, because a lot of people don't make it out alive. And I feel like that could just be very insensitive, and it can start to kind of fall into spiritual narcissism. So I'm very careful of saying that. I say myself that I believe I chose this path because of just my life and the way that things have gone, but I'm not going to tell you you chose to have a narcissistic parent or abusive whatever, and that's why. So I'm just giving you the perspective of, I believe that a lot of people were called here to serve a specific purpose, even if it's not a big purpose, like, oh, you were called here to cure cancer. It could be a purpose as in you were reincarnated here in order to have a loving family. Maybe you, in a past life you didn't have a loving family, so this lifetime you came here to, grow, elevate, and meet someone special and have a loving family. And if that's in your life path and that's something that your soul wants to experience, I do believe there are entities that can be in your family, that can be romantic relationships, that are wanting to stop you and get you off of that path. I do believe that. And I feel like the Jezebel spirit, narcissists, are some of those entities. I know, just to give you an idea of, like I said, this is all spiritual. The narcissist that caused me to start this channel, I actually did get to see a vision of him, of the entity that was controlling him. So I saw it, oh, this is so graphic. I saw it enter through his butthole, his anus, in the vision, and it was a black energy that entered up into his anus. It traveled up his spine, and it kind of like exploded up onto his head, like in the back of his, where his head connects to, where his brain connects to his spine, and it started just circling around his head. The black like energy, it was like a fog. And I do believe that that is the spirit, the Jezebel spirit, that is controlling him. I also got to see with a narcissist in my family. I was sitting and talking about narcissistic abuse with her, and I looked over and her eyes were like, I don't know how to even explain. It looked like a reptile's eyes. I don't know how else to explain. It's like a black orb in her eyes. It scared the hell out of me. So I cried for like 2 hours. So when I say this is spiritual, I just know this for a fact. I know this for a fact because of the visions that God has allowed me to see. So I guess the point of this podcast, or this long rambly talk, is that if you are the black sheep of the family, if you have overcome narcissistic abuse, or if you're still trying to overcome it, just know that there is something very special waiting for you on the other side of this, because you have a purpose here. You are a exceptional human being, and you are strong enough to survive this. And when you do survive this, you can really step fully into your purpose and into your path, and you have the power to break a whole generation of curses. Like, you have the power to break the curse that would plague the rest of the generations in your family. Like, think about if you were never born and someone else was born in your place and they weren't the black sheep, like they were the golden child, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if you weren't around, then the family bloodline would just continue on. Everyone would just grow up and continue the same narcissistic patterns, get married, have kids, abuse the kids, and the cycle continues. Just think about the fact that you have the ability to really break a whole, think about it. It's just crazy. Generations and after generations of abuse, of trauma, of narcissism, of codependency, generation after generation, and you have the power to break it simply because you are the black sheep, because you don't fit in, and because you knew and you've always known that something was special about you and something was different about you. So do not let these spiritual parasites, I will call them, because they latch onto you and feed off of your energy. And I'm sure you've seen this if you are if you grow up in a narcissistic household, you've seen, I'm sure, that whenever you are down and whenever your energy is drained and you're down, you see the narcissist up, walking around and happy. That's because they literally are feeding off of you, feeding off of your fears, feeding off your emotions. That's why they pick at you and mock you in order to cause an emotional breakdown, because they are feeding when they cause that emotional breakdown. That's why no contact feels like death. It almost feels like withdrawal, because it's like you have this parasitic attachment. It's like a vampire. Like they're like, they're energy vampires, you could say. Feeding off of you, sucking you dry, and then they discard you. And that's why it feels like death, because of the parasitic exchange. And when they don't discard you and you walk away from them, you'll see them trying to use any type of manipulative tactics to get you back. And that's because they want to continue to feed off of you. And if you are living with a narcissist right now, you can't get away right now, please don't be afraid. Again, just stay uplifted in prayer. Use the stone wall. I think it's called the stone wall, or the gray wall method. I'm not sure, the gray rock method, but it's basically when you are not giving them any emotional response. Don't let them see you sweat. If you see them playing little petty games in order to get you to have a breakdown or an outburst, just remind yourself that they are doing that to feed off of your energy, and don't give it to them. And I've seen how this works firsthand. I tried this method on a narcissist, and she looked like a zombie within a week. It was the scariest shit I've ever experienced, only because I couldn't believe that I had literally been food to somebody for my whole entire life. So I pretty much like just stopped responding. Whenever she would try to get emotional response out of me, I would just have a stone cold face. And I was just like, okay, that's nice. When you know what's going on and you know this entity is feeding off of you, it's easier to not respond to the ridiculousness that the narcissist tries to impose on you, and try to get you to respond emotionally. So just try this out. Like, if you are living with a narcissist, literally just go gray wall or gray stone. What the hell? I don't know what it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's like being solid like a rock, like not showing any type of emotion. And that doesn't mean hold your emotions in. You can go in the bathroom and cry. You can go somewhere else and express your feelings, but just don't let them get under your skin the best way you know how, and just try to stay as far away as possible. And at your earliest convenience, find a way to get away, because there's just no, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you, and there's just find a way to get away. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, you know, you can do this and it's okay to stay with them. I just recommend that everyone get away from them, because again, I do feel like this is a demonic entity, and I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want anyone to be fearful, because if anything, I want this to be uplifting and encouraging, because you are above this entity. Like, this entity exists, but like I said, you are a creation of source. You come directly from source. You come directly from love and light, and you have come here for a specific purpose. And obviously, if you are experiencing spiritual warfare, then naturally whatever you came here to do is important, because why would there be literal intelligent demonic entities attacking you specifically? Like, really think about that. It's like different, like I said, different levels of demons, different levels of entities, and one of the most intelligent ones are attacking you. Why would that be? Could it be that there's something special about you? Could it be that you have a purpose here? Could it be that, you know, you are a threat? Me personally, I know that me being a light worker, I came here to help people. I have a save the world complex that I've always had since I was a kid. And so naturally, I've always wanted to save everyone. And it makes sense that a intelligent demonic entity would attack me, because attacking me means also attacking a lot of people that I could have possibly saved in the process of me being alive. So even one of the, not even just one, but a couple of narcissists that I've dealt with, even a narcissist in my family tried to basically push me to commit suicide, even if they didn't say it out loud. Well, one of them did say it out loud, like, no one would miss you if you were gone. Go ahead and go upstairs and commit suicide. Then they would come to me in my dreams or like in my sleep and just whisper to me spiritually, like, commit suicide, commit suicide. You know what I'm saying? Kill yourself. Like, no one would care. And those are just demonic beings. The narcissist I was engaged to in college, he didn't try to push me to commit suicide, but it's like when I was around him, I would always be sick. I had so many near-death experiences through him, through dating him, and I never knew that he was a narcissist. I didn't know about spirituality, but I've almost died numerous times because of this man. Like, being in contact with him, like the illnesses that I had, because my immune system was so weak because of the abuse. So again, trying to take me out, trying to literally end my life and like knock me off of my path and off of my course. So I just want to encourage all the black sheep of the family to hang in there. there's a reason why you are so different and you think so differently. And there's a reason why that you come on YouTube seeking spiritual knowledge and trying to figure out how to heal, because that's what you came here to do. And that's what you will do. And don't let any spiritual warfare, any setbacks, any demonic entities, anything like that ever knock you off of your course, because clearly you came here for a specific reason and a specific purpose. So I really do hope that this was helpful. I feel like I need to do a separate video on the Jezebel spirit, because this was kind of like rambly, and I feel like a lot of people probably won't understand what the Jezebel spirit is. So I feel like I need to do a separate video on the Jezebel spirit. But I have read crazy articles about people who have seen the Jezebel spirit, like as in they've seen it in the person, in the narcissist. And again, like I just shared, I've seen it. I've had visions of it. So yeah, it's definitely real. So I hope that this was somewhat helpful. You will hopefully be seeing my face in my next video. I'm not sure. Because again, this interference sometimes with my camera and stuff. But anyway, I think I've rambled long enough. Again, thank you guys so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.